Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival live from the Trauma Center studios where Dave, get this, I'm just checking out headhunter.com. Apparently a couple of vacant coaching spots if you want to move down south. You like North Carolina?
Not
experience?
Not in hurricane season. I don't think so. Not for me. Thanks anyways. And you know what? The Carolina Hurricanes, they're about the only team that you want to actually have anything to do with right there. Maybe the Hornets. We got to see how that plays out. Wow, Matt Rule, gone. 7-year contract he signed 3 years ago, Chad. $62 million they gave this guy. $62 million.
So Matt Rule's his neighborhood.
Yeah, Matt Rule's his neighborhood. He's gonna have a lot more money to move out now. You got a lot of good packing money. Hey, by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to P12 Foreman. All right, he hooked me up with this really cool Cypress Hill inspired pop head. It's not a bobblehead because it's a pop, but it's Dr. Green Thumb. Thank you, Foreman. And I do want to congratulate ourselves. We
congratulate ourselves already.
We made it through the probationary period of the YouTube verification. So now tonight, this is the Monday night mic check. We had to kind of make sure that Chad's mic was working right because he just sounds so strong, so manly, and so big and so tough. So we got Chad's mic working perfectly. We've got the YouTube channel at The Sports Carney broadcasting live right now. And I want to say, I want to say that we're going on Facebook here too, baby. Yeah, we sure are, because I'm watching myself. Oh, dear God, that's kind of scary. So I feel like we're winning right now. That's why I said I'm going to congratulate myself just a little bit here. I feel like
I'll tell you this. You know what? When you start something like this, if anybody's ever done anything like this, there's always going to be a few glitches. And if it was perfect, it wouldn't be as much fun. So we have to give ourselves a little bit of a little grace period. And ultimately, I thought the first show was great. Had a few snafus. My mic sucked. We weren't live on YouTube. We were possibly live on Facebook, but we don't know.
We were not.
We were not live on Facebook.
We were not live on Facebook. That much I do know.
Twittered it. That was it. We were Twitch and Twitter.
We had Twitch and Twitter this morning on the inaugural Sports Carnival, but it doesn't really matter that much. The YouTube channel at The Sports Carney, which is right now broadcasting us live on YouTube, has the inaugural episode of the Sports Carnival available for download, available for view. Chad, it's also got the interview that we did today with Matt Janis, UWL head football coach, who was terrific. Yeah. Terrific. I mean, this guy's a star. He loves the city of La Crosse. He had an opportunity to take other jobs before he took and actually took over for Mike Schmidt, our good friend that went to Northern State. He had an opportunity to take other jobs. He wants to be here in La Crosse, and he is turning this Eagles football team into a top 10 program for a consecutive season. And just a really great guy, really fun interview. That was a lot of fun. You got to check that out on our YouTube page. It's also on Twitter. We got an Instagram link. We got something, trickling up on Facebook. We're all over the place right now.
And the thing that surprised a couple people, of course, I didn't have any background, so I didn't know. Man bun gone.
Yeah, that did surprise a couple of people. P12 Foreman, as a matter of fact, the cat that hooked me up with this little pop Cypress Hill Dr. Green Thumb head, posted on Twitter at the Sports Carney. I guess it was a T-shirt that he tied on top. I was trying not to make it seem like racially, I didn't want to make it seem like he was culturally appropriating something. But he said it would be better if he would have worn it like a samurai man bun.
I was going to tell a joke about Twitch and Twitter. I don't know if you know this, but that's Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf's fantasy football team.
Wow.
Is that wrong?
Wow. Here's why I like you, Chad.
Throwback.
You're not throwing out chum. This isn't easy stuff. This isn't red meat for the masses. You've got to know who Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf is.
One of my favorite guys, by the way.
Oh, fantastic player. By the way, and just up until
Big Three
3 seasons ago with the Big Three, and could still play amazing basketball.
Yeah.
Go look up Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a.k.a. Chris Jackson, when he played at LSU. Amazing player. Great story. Funny joke.
I thought, there's background to that. We won't gig in because
funny joke. But I like how you just don't throw out an easy one, because a lot of people are like, who is that? Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf? Isn't he the guy that sang, Moon Shadow? And you're like, no, that's Yusuf Islam. That's Cat Stevens.
Great
different.
guy. Great song, by the way.
Oh,
Well,
fantastic artist. One of my favorite.
the other thing I want to point out to a lot of people is I've been on what we call in the business the beach.
Yeah,
I've
baby.
been on the beach 5 months. I've been on the beach 6 years. So I went into this time capsule and I cut off a lot of things, including a lot of sports. So my pre 2015 sports knowledge is pretty solid. Anything after that, it's a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy here and there. It's patchy.
You're good. You're still funny, right?
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah.
Okay, that's good enough for us. And you you push some incredible buttons. As a matter of fact, we had one of our listeners. I want to say this was Jason Breacher, P1 Breacher, Soul Surfer. Hey, what's up, Thomas? We had Soul Surfer checking in this morning, Jason Breacher, and he said, Dave, it's nice to finally see you working with a professional producer. And I thought to myself, professional producer, fuck, I was, for the last 6 years, I looked like one of those guys in the cartoon sketch, right? With the drum in the middle of his leg and he's playing guitar and the accordion and you've got the harmonica and you're just doing all this thing. And listen, and people would say, hey, why don't we put some cameras in this place? And I'm like, oh, with these fluorescent lights and all this other fun stuff going on. I mean, you'd think this is something to see with my twitchiness. Imagine if I was having to go all over the place. Like, I basically need like some sort of restraint in order to sit here. I watched that video back of ours today and I felt like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles doing radio. I need to really practice this different medium.
So I like to dig deeper. I like going Ronnie Millsap or Jeff Healey.
Oh, good call.
So those are two
not throwing out the chum, man.
A little bit more obscure, visually impaired musicians.
I'm sorry. I just got taken away. Foreman says, I'm not trying to start anything here, but Foreman got the monkeypox vaccine.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Foreman says, few mistakes, but overall very satisfying. That and then he says, sounds like my sex life. I tell you what.
I was going to say what sounds like my sex life.
I tell you, I have to say this because, you are a guy that is very complimentary about other people. And when you do it, sometimes it overwhelms. And sometimes I think that you may be going a little too far and I don't really get the real picture. And you've talked about your audience and told me this for years. And I've participated kind of on the periphery, right? On the outside. But man, I'm impressed. You've got a lot of great people that are already engaged and we haven't even really started this thing. And so congrats to you and congrats. It's awesome that we have these guys that are participating like Foreman and all these different fellas that are here. We're doing a test and we've got people.
Listen, it's one of the,
I'm excited about part of it.
It's one of the highlights of my life. And for those that might have ever thought, and Chad, this is really interesting that you bring this up. For those that might have ever thought, which I don't know if you did, that I was putting you on or maybe bullshitting you or shining you, right? Just telling you something because I thought, yeah, I'm just telling you something because I want you to like me or whatever. No, it's not true. I love this area, the city of La Crosse, the Cooley region, the entire state of Wisconsin, to be frank, Western Wisconsin in particular, where I've spent this last 6 years, has treated me so very well. There was just, I really couldn't think of any other place to go in. And again, I just want to thank you guys so very much for like pumping me up and saying, hey, Dave, like, come back, let's do something. Because otherwise, me and Chad wouldn't have started talking about this thing and I wouldn't have started, pumping him up. And pretty soon we're on a fucking Fox commercial at like 9:00 during like some sort of newscast. Do you need help getting it up? It's the Now Dave and Chad Pump It Up.
I have to tell you, first day of, so I have a regular job. So that means I have to go to work for 8 to 9 hours a day. And this was day one. And I have to be honest with you, I'm a little spent, but overall I feel really good. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. I was a little nervous this morning, but it went really, really well. Coach Janis, man, I have to compliment you on that as well, because I know you coached him up a little bit, pun intended. He's a great guest.
Through the years. Oh man, he's fantastic. Chad, we're so lucky. And I can't wait until tomorrow's show because one of our listeners' favorite guests, and somebody that they've just kind of become a friend with, right? Like, this is kind of the great thing about what the show did and what the Sports Carnival is going to aim to do again. And I'm trying not to be too twitchy. I'm being cognizant. What the aim is to create sort of a community together, right?
Yeah.
So folks can have their own subset of friends that they've met through this show. It's a gathering place. It's an idea exchange. It's a place where we can come and and talk about who's worse, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, when it comes to their personal dealings. Who's the better quarterback? I mean, that's a fun debate too, but we can have all of those conversations here, and it gives people a chance to really come together. It's the tie that binds.
Yeah.
Viking fans love that shit too, especially when you get into which one of them's, the worst person outside of football.
Well, that's one shot you could aim at Brett Favre. Brett Favre at one time was a Viking, so he went to the dark side.
Oh God, Packer fans, let me tell you what, they did not forgive him for like a couple of years.
And then he was jumping on the charity bandwagon, or the Jets were, when he went to the Jets.
Well, that was first. Remember, he goes to New York first.
That's right. That's right.
Gets injured. The Jets were actually 8-0 before he got injured. I do recall. And then he ended up getting injured, sends his unfortunate, I don't know, photo. Did this guy not learn his lesson? I mean, it's interesting that Jason Breacher's listening. P1 Breach and I were talking about this the other day. Did this guy not learn his lesson from that whole situation in New York? You don't need to send text messages, Brett. You're not great at it. You're not good at hiding. It's a text message, for God's sakes. It's on a fucking phone, man. I don't know.
Maybe he's just one of these guys that has bad people around him.
He's got CTE, bro. He's got CTE. Well, he's just got the friendlier kind. I mean,
it's the friendlier kind. I didn't know there was
it's more chummy. Like, I still think Brett would be a hell of a guy to play flag football with, because he's going to bring Jerry Rice, and you're going to be able to school these guys. Like, I mean, you want to talk about not fair. You go out there with this copper fit shit, and it's you and Jerry Rice playing against a whole bunch of like park scrubs, and then you're high-fiving. Like, you need to give each other high fives. I mean, you're two Hall of Fame football players.
Yeah, and I thought he just is. Would he be playing his Wranglers? Like when he's out there, do you think when he plays flag football, he's wearing his Wranglers with his copper fit?
No, he wears his shorts, man. He's going out to kick ass.
No, because he sells Wranglers, and then he's got one of them.
Different commercial though. You got to separate it. You don't want to. You need to show off. You need to show off the copper fit, right? You can't keep the copper fit undercover.
Well, and he's got copper fit on every elbow and knee he has. So, because he's that old.
Well, listen, listen, the first half of this Monday Night Football game, because this is a little Monday night mic check, making sure we're going live on YouTube and Facebook, and we are. But there were the first two sacks of the game I saw. So Kansas City sacks Derek Carr, but first it was the Raiders sacking. It was the Raiders sacking Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, and because of that personal foul that Tom Brady drew on Sunday, that complete bullshit, roughing the passer. Okay, the first two sacks of the game, the guy didn't even get to go to the ground. They just like held him up and kind of circled him around. And I thought to myself, please, God, don't tell me this is where we're going to go. Please don't tell me that.
I did read a headline, and I didn't really dig deep into it, where it said that maybe there was some overreaction from the whole Tua thing. And that's what's going on with this officiating. But they clearly acknowledged that it's probably gone too far. We'll see how that progresses. But apparently tonight, which I don't have the game on, so I don't know. Apparently that's continuing. So who knows? Maybe this is the new normal, as they say.
You know what? We'll see. If it ends up going like this, I think we're in for some big trouble, right? We really are. And I do like what Foreman is saying here about this is ABC. Fuck, it's just Foreman. Look at his thing. It looks like if any cop had a Twitter handle, that would be what it is. Here's what Foreman has to say. He probably has a copper fit condom to help keep his goldenrod hard. Listen, if that worked, I think that would be great. I don't know that they've got one of those in production yet, but they might.
Copper cock sleeve? Yeah, they could.
The copper fit cock sleeve, absolutely.
Wrap it around your balls, whatever you got to do. Hey, you know what? If that's what you have to get the job done, it's what you got to do, man.
That's
got to take care of your woman. You got to take care of your woman.
Boy, I was making that joke in specific reference to Michael on The Office because I follow Rainn Wilson on Instagram. This is a total nerd out real quick.
Rainn Wilson.
He is giving a tour, and it's like, I don't know if it's a private tour or how you get into this, but he is giving a tour of the actual office, like the office building and through this. And I thought, wow, that's really cool because his character, Rainn Wilson's character, obviously, for those that watch the show, owned at a certain point, if not for the whole time. I can't remember how he came to acquire that office building, if it was ever fully explained or if it was just assumed because he talked about it again and again that he owned it. Do you remember how that was?
I didn't really get into The Office completely. I kind of was wrecked by the original Office. I watched the one with Ricky Gervais,
Wow.
and it's in my opinion much better.
British one.
Yeah, I thought, and you can see the derivative. It's very derivative, obviously. I mean, we made no bones about it. Most American shows, All in the Family. There's a lot of shows that we ripped off from over the across the pond.
Sure.
I just like the Ricky Gervais version better, and so I didn't really get into it. So I couldn't tell you. I couldn't answer you that question.
Okay, well, I would assume that the British version of Dwight, if they were able to own real property in the United Kingdom, which we know that they are not, because it is a subservient little offshoot of monarchists. But if, by the way, God rest her soul. But yeah, sorry, is it too soon? Like, are we still? Is she still lying in state right now? Do we still have to say like that? I mean, like she was dead for longer than she was alive. The funeral lasted longer than her actual life did, which was just interesting. But it's fine. I just think that whoever the Rainn Wilson character was, I mean, my thoughts on this. We don't have to get into it right now.
It's called a royal shit. You just took a royal shit right there.
Yeah, I did. I don't get this fucking fascination we have with this, but it's a different point. The goddamn guy over in London probably owned the building too. See what you've done.
I'm not trying to argue.
Crazy tangent.
Listen, I'm not trying to say it's better. I'm just saying it's like you get tainted on something, right? It's like if you grew up in the Michael Jordan era, you're going to say Michael Jordan's the GOAT. You're not going to say LeBron's the GOAT. Why? Because of recency bias. That's the way it works. So it's the same thing. If you watch The Office, the English version first, it's going to be hard to transfer to the American version. It's just what that's what I thought.
All right. You're going into a pretty open debate scenario here because I think Michael and LeBron are two different players, and we've talked about this. I think LeBron matches more with Larry Bird, and Kobe and Michael. It doesn't matter. You're right. It's a recency bias that we all have. It's a recency bias that we all have.
Look at preach. You see that? See, we have agreement here. I don't know if he's saying that to me or
what, though, because that's where we'd see Jason. You're going to have to be more specific.
Have you watched?
We have to watch Welcome to Wrexham.
Reboot
on Hulu.
I didn't know. You know what? Hulu's not on my radar. I can only spend so much money on streaming services. That's one I don't have. So, and this is what sucks because I got the HBO Max for one reason and one reason only.
What was that?
Winning Time.
Oh, that was fantastic. And I'm so glad that you did too.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
Okay, but if we're just going to go ahead and do random plugs here for HBO Max, because I'm fine with this. HBO Max is also the home of Veep, what I consider the funniest situational comedy, 30-minute situational comedy that I've ever seen in my entire life. Julie Louis-Dreyfus is an absolute fucking like powerhouse in that show. Every character is so well acted, so well sketched out. There's so much depth to that show as far as the character development goes, Chad. It almost belies a television comedy. Right, like a serial comedy, the character development is such that you just generally never get to see that, even if the character development is mainly shallow, egotistical, snarky. It does follow a certain Seinfeld-esque pattern, right, where the characters kind of keep getting progressively worse as the show goes through its final seasons. And anyway, so you get that on HBO Max. And look, I mean, you got Real Time with Bill Maher, which I love. And Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, which is great. The Sopranos, you can watch The Wire. You can go back in it's fantastic.
But I didn't get into HBO Max for any of those reasons because I can miss all of those.
Now you can get into that for those reasons.
I have, but I'm saying, so now do I have to go, now I have to get Hulu? I don't know if I can do that.
You don't have to. No, but what we'll do with Foreman, and he doesn't have to put this here, we'll have him DM us his account numbers.
Okay, that's
in his logins, because that way we can just go ahead.
This is that as a weekly giveaway. It's like you can get his free login for a week, and we'll just pass it around. How about that?
Actually, that's not a bad idea. If there was a way that we could actually give people like free 7-day trials of different kinds of streaming services by a gift card, that's not bad. It's fun that you mentioned that. I don't know if we've talked about this together, but Foreman, Jeremy Foreman, P12 Foreman, as a matter of fact, his nickname is P12 Foreman, is going to be coming onto the program at some point in the future because we are going to be doing some box breaks, some sports card box breaks. We've got a lot of sports memorabilia, guys, left over from our good friend Bob Ibeck who will be joining us on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday morning he'll be joining us, and we're going to have a lot of opportunities for folks to win and then buy actual spots into these, larger sort of I wouldn't say lotteries necessarily, but larger sort of drawings for some of these great sports memorabilia items, which are going to be really, really, really nice to have in your house or your office, or give as a Christmas gift. Good God, we're going to be coming up. I'm looking down at my calendar. It's the 10th of October already. We're going to be at Christmas time before we know it.
So Foreman says he has every streaming service you can think of. So he's already volunteering to give away some of these. So we'll just throw that in with a plaque or a football. And I mean, come on, we're going to set the world ablaze, my friend.
You know what? Another reason I love Wisconsin Foreman. So I used to watch that show, that 70s show, starting in 1999. All right.
Great show.
Fantastic show. And what's the refrain at the end of the song? Hello, Wisconsin. And what do they have but their very own Foreman?
True. I forgot about that. Now we need a red. We need a grumpy old man.
Jesus. Okay. Just
do we have any of those?
We've got plenty. As a matter of fact, this is where most of the redheaded people in the country reside. This actual area. It's fantastic.
I didn't know that. There's a plethora of redheads there. We talking about
it's Norwegian. The whole area up here is mostly Norwegian, Scandinavian. So you've got a lot of Germans. I mean, dude, down the street, like outside of my house, I have a great window so it's able to keep the noise away. You'll hear the click clacking of fucking Amish horses. Like, and sometimes you wonder, as you walk by a cornfield, if they're hiding in there, if there's one or two of them little fuckers looking at you like, trying to get you to come on in their town. Hey, I'm just saying, they're not watching the show, and they better not be, because if they are, they're falling in with the English right now. It better be that Ramsteigen or whatever.
So speaking of redheads, have you strolling through the strawberry fields?
A few times.
Strawberry fields forever, or just every once you like to go on a visit?
Forever. I mean, it's hard. I like the sun, right? So for a couple of months, maybe in a colder situation, yes. When it comes summertime, gotta go.
That's the thing that a lot of people probably don't know. Maybe you've shared this with people, Dave, but Dave comes from California and he's Captain Flip Flops and shorts. So the wintertime in Wisconsin for Dave is kind of a pisser.
Brother, the first winter time out here, oh man, the first winter, I'm like, which hand is it? Because it looks like my right hand in the mirror. It's almost like if you have melons that you can't tell what size they are, you could be dyslexic. But the first winter time I come out here, I've got a knuckle, but I didn't realize that this knuckle could be what looked like a small softball, because it blew up from this cold. And apparently I had some, form of arthritis, which is subsequently subsided quite a bit, probably because I've gotten more used to it. But good God, it was awful. And it depends. This is going to be, so this is interesting because you're in the Pacific Northwest, the drier half of the state of Washington, right? So the western half is very wet. The eastern half is pretty arid. But we're going to go through our third consecutive La Nina, which is going to bring colder than average temperatures here. I think you guys are going to be warmer than average again this winter. Is that kind of the way that it's going to work from what you've heard?
Well, of course, I've consulted the Farmer's Almanac, and yes, we're supposed to have a mild winter. Now, what I've seen where you're currently at is just a big purple ball of shit. So yeah, you're going to have a rough one.
That's what I was just thinking, because that's what the prediction has been, that it was going to be the third consecutive La Nina year as opposed to the El Nino, which would typically bring some wetter, warmer water.
La Nina means small girl, I believe. Am I correct? No.
I'm going to have to check my Spanish thesaurus and dictionary here real quick. Just hold on a second. Uno momento, por favor, please. Give me a second and I'll be right back to you. I'm really liking the way this is going, and thanks. He says, so here we go, Foreman, one more time, dude. One of my best, most memorable, favorite, and still one I think about is Firefish.
Oh, Firefish. I've never heard of it that way, but you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he's combining two different senses, if you will.
Oh,
yeah. He knows what's up.
Oh, dude. Yeah, he knows what's up. Our listeners are pretty good. I see Thomas, UWL Thomas, was checking in here on Twitter, said the interview this morning with Coach Janis. He really enjoyed. And if you're just kind of popping in now, this was another little secret broadcast. It's called the Monday Night Mic Check, making sure we're all working. And yeah, we're flying, baby. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. Everything's a go. Very exciting there. If you didn't hear the interview with Coach Janis or see it this morning, check it out on our YouTube page. It's a lot of fun. He did great.
All right, let's bail, huh?
Let's do it.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
We're
We'll
out.
be broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Have a nice night, guys. See ya.